Okay, we're going to work on number 1, letter A, has 0.14. The 1 stands for letter X, and the 4 stands for Y-axis. Now we're going to go to our grid and look for that point. I'm going to go over 1 unit on the X-axis, and then I'm going to go up 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4 units on the Y-axis, and that gives me letter F. So then I'm going to go back to letter A and put point F. And you're going to do the same thing for the rest of the letters. Okay, now I'm going to go to number 2. Right here, you're going to do the total opposite. Now they're going to give you letters. Right here, point M. I need to find point M on the grid. So I'll come over here to my grid, and I'll look for letter M. Letter M is right here. I need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the right. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my point for M is 5, 7. So I go back over here for point M. I'm going to write 5, 7. I write 5 first because it's on the X-axis, and then I write 7 because I'm going to go 7 units up along the Y-axis. And don't forget to put the parentheses. And that's all you have to do for number 2, and do the rest for all the letters. Okay, so now we're on this page. Number 1, it says use the coordinate plane below to answer parts A through C. Okay, letter A, graph at least 5 points on the X-axis and label their coordinates. That means you need to find 5 points that are on the X-axis. Now I already put my numbers on my graph. Now I know that this is my X-axis and this is my Y-axis. The question says that you need to find 5 points along the X-axis. So I'm just going to do 1 for an example. I'm going to go over 1, 2 units right here on the X, and I don't need to go up any units because it has to be along the X-axis. So my point right here is 2, 0. So I'm going to go back to my question right over here, and I'm going to write it 1 coordinate, 2, 0. Now if I want to find another one on the X-axis, it could be any other. It could even be a negative 1. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go and just plot a point right here. As you can see, it's on the X-axis. It's nowhere near the Y. So my point for this one right here, we'll call it X, is negative 6, 0. So then I'll go over here and I'll write it down. Negative 6, 0. Now the next question, now remember you need to do 3 more. I've already done 2 for you guys. Now the next question, what do these coordinates of your points have in common? This is a coordinate, this is a coordinate, and you'll have 3 more. What do they all have in common? Letter C, what must be true about any point that lies on the X-axis? What has to be true so that all the coordinates are on the X-axis? And you're going to do the same thing, but now you're going to do along the Y-axis for number 2. It says right here, graph at least 5 points on the Y-axis and label their coordinates. I'll do just 1 right now. So I'm going to go over here and find my Y-axis, which is right here, this whole line right here. Okay, so I'm going to find the point. And that point that I'm going to choose is right here. And I'll label it D. And my point for letter D is 0 because I didn't go anywhere along the x-axis, so I stayed at 0, but I went down on my y-axis, -3. So I'm going to go over here to my question, and I'm going to put 0, -3. And you need to find 4 more. And then you answer the letter B. What do these coordinates of your points have in common? And what must be true on any point that lies on the y-axis? You do not need to do number 3. You don't need to do that. Okay. Now on this page, you do not need to do number 6. So you can cross that out. But you do need to do number 5. It says, write the coordinates of at least one other point in each of the 4 quadrants. There's quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you don't remember, I'll put down the quadrants right here. This one is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. You need to write a point for each one of those. Where would they land in each of those quadrants? And you're just going to write 1 point for each letter. Now, if you don't finish this, this will be your homework. Number 1, name the quadrant in each of the points lies. If the point does not lie in a quadrant, specify which axis points lie on. Now, I'll do letter A, -2, 5. And what quadrant does that land on? So if you remember my quadrants, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Now it says -2, 5, so I know I'm going to go -2 units to the left. I'll just pretend that that's -2. Then I got to go +5, which I know I need to go up 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that that's in quadrant 2. So then I'll just go to my answer and just write 2. And that is it. Now it also says if the point does not lie in a quadrant, meaning it doesn't land on 1, 2, 3, and 4, that means that it lies literally on one of the lines, either the x-axis or y-axis. And there is one point that lands on either the x-axis or y-axis. You have to see in which one it is. Now in number 2, it says Jackie claims that points with the same x and y coordinates must lie in quadrant 1 or quadrant 3. Do you agree or disagree? What that means is that if you pick the same x and y coordinates must lie in quadrant 1. So if you just pick a number, 2 and 2, is that going to lie in quadrant 1? Or if you pick -3, -3, is that going to land in quadrant 3? If so, just tell me if it's true or not. Number 3, locate and label each set of points on the coordinate plane. Try to pick a color or a different color for letter A, B, and C. So letter A could be blue, all the points for letter B could be green, all the points for letter C could be the last different color. And you do have to write the similarities of all these pairs. How are they all similar? Do they land in the same quadrant? Do they land on the same line or axis? You have to explain.